Hello and welcome to Sonic Talk episode 454, recording today live on Wednesday the 6th of July. Happy belated 4th of July to all of our stateside watchers. Of course, we're getting people watching via YouTube. We're streaming pretty much via YouTube Live now, but we also embed the player on our sonicstate.com/live page, where there is our own IRC channel if you want to join that chat room. But I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments on YouTube as well, so I might be a bit distracted from time to time because it's a one-man show here in terms of production, and it's a sort of one-man guest as well, but I'll get onto that later. I'm just going to say thank you very much to our sponsors. Obviously, iZotope are sponsoring the show, and you can find out how to win a copy of Vocal Synth, Vocal Vocoder and Harmony Processor coming up about halfway through the show, and we'll have the winner of last week's show as well. But now let's say hello to Gaz Williams, who's wearing red in honour of Wales, who are playing tonight in the European Soccer Championships, and they've reached the semi-finals of the said competition, which is basically everybody is amazed, and I'm glad to see you're flying the flag.
No, it's great, but I'm a little bit frustrated because something came today which I want to play with and I haven't got any time to, and that is one of them.
Oh, is that an H9?
It is, but there was something I wanted to mention about, just because I was looking for I'd had my eye on one of these for a long time, but it was a difficult justification because they're not cheap.
No, about 500 quid, aren't they?
Well, that's the thing. They come in different, you can buy different ones depending on what you want. When it first came out, it came out with 9 algorithms, and then they brought out one which had no algorithm, well, one algorithm, and then you can choose to buy algorithms from the App Store, which is sort of built into the editor on both iOS and Mac and PC. So I was just looking for something that could be like a box that had its own MIDI clock in there, and there's various things that could do it. So I could do tap tempo and send that out via MIDI to some other devices for my MIDI-based rig. And so I was looking, I thought, well, actually, I'll just look secondhand for one of these. And I discovered something, and I just thought it was worth flagging, hence me mentioning. If you buy algorithms, then if you then choose to sell the unit, you have to wipe all the algorithms off. And then those algorithms are either a waste of money or they'll remain attached to your account should you wish to buy one in the future, and then you can reinstate those algorithms.
Right.
But so it occurred to me, because I was looking, I knew that there was about 10 or 11 algorithms that I wanted, and at £15, or I think they're about $20 per algorithm, it starts to get quite expensive. But there is one that you can get which is called the Max, and that's the one I ended up going for in the end, which is spending a lot more money than I meant to. But that was because of the fact that the Max has got all the algorithms plus any other algorithms that will be released in the future.
Forever.
Well, but it does mean that its value is kind of a bit more locked in. Whereas if you'd have bought one of the cheaper ones, bought algorithms and then chose to sell it down the line, you'd essentially have written off that money that you'd bought the algorithms with. So that was my justification. But really, I think I just...
thing that I found, because I had one here for a little while, I didn't get round to reviewing it. I like the fact that you got the Bluetooth editor for the iPad, which is okay, but it's yet another thing, because it's not much fun to program without that. And also, that sound, the shimmer reverb or any of those things, it just uses it all up. And you kind of think, well, any of the other algorithms, you end up with this kind of it's like a sort of a justification war of which algorithm should the H9 run. What are you going to be running in your H9 then, Gaz?
Well, I've had a little play with it so far, and yes, the things like the space and shimmer, the black hole from the space and the shimmer. But to be honest, some of the new H9 specific ones, like the resonator, is lovely, and also. There's one which is just quite a boring one, really. That's like an EQ and a compressor. But boy, that compressor sounds great, especially on my bass. So I was, I was very impressed with that. So I think it's going to be a bunch of things. I think it's going to be really useful. What I'm thinking of doing, though, is actually, because of the editor being really nice, and you can create set lists from the editor, and you can run the editor on an iPad, generally, when I'm doing big productions, I've always got a music stand with an iPad on. So it kind of makes sense that I can then edit the pedal from the iPad rather than having to bend down, blah, blah, blah. But also for organising sets. So then I'm planning on using it then as a program change device as well.
Because it'll output MIDI as well, won't it? Yeah.
It will, and it'll output the clock. So it'll be my clock generator and my sort of program change unit as well. So I think it's going to be a bit of a a multi-purpose tool really for me.
I just got to put this one in. This is Lady Aptitude in the chat room. Oops, that's that one. Slave to the algorithm. I think that's a great, nice one. Very good, very good.
Like
that gets pun of the day so far. The other thing is in the chat room on YouTube, Geosynth says you can get an H9 core, which is basically a dumb version, hasn't got any algorithms, and you can run the algorithms on both from the Macs apparently as well. So you could find yourself rapidly expanding your battalion of H9.
I was kind of thinking about that, and that's why I went for the Macs in the end, and then thought, so it could become quite a good system. I know that Dweezil Zapper uses 3 of them, and I can imagine that being a really powerful setup. But to be honest, so far, everything about it I absolutely love. In terms of the sound quality is sublime. I'm a big fan of pitch shifters, and the pitch shifter probably is the best one on this, albeit there isn't any polyphonic pitch shifting that I've found yet, so I don't think any of the
I don't think it does that.
No, but it does. I mean, just this one, I think it's called the Quadravox or something, which is a 4-voice a 4-voice sort of pitch shifter, and just how beautiful that sounds really did actually make me gasp. Really, just thought, wow, this.
Explain to me how you're going to be finding a place to put space and shimmer on a bass.
Well, that's because I'm using it with my MIDI bass system, and my MIDI bass system is a lot more than just a bass. I've just finished a little video that I'm going to post, hopefully either today or tomorrow, with a few things about. But I'm going to be doing some solo-ish shows. I say solo. I'm going to be the only pitched player, and I'm going to have 3 percussionists with me. A drummer and 2 percussionists, and I'm going to handle all the melodic sort of sides. I'm trying to kind of get fairly minimal bass lines, chords, because I can use sustain pedal. I can choose which strings I want the sustain pedal to work on, so I can just sustain chords, play some bass lines, play some melodies, and I'm just developing it at the moment. And so, I've been spending the last 3 or 4 months devoted to this thing, really. So hopefully it'll be. I don't know when it'll be ready or for what purpose, or if anyone will even like it, but I'm going to do it
Of course they will. Well, I just posted the Cymru Beat set today that I did. And last week, I was listening to it today, and I was thinking, oh God, there's basically all the way through the set, I've forgotten to dial back the attack on the sound, so all the bass sounds are sort of rather than bang in it, so it's a little bit, but that's the sort of thing that, only 2 gigs in, those are the sort of things that tend to suffer. But I did notice that James Bernard, who used to be a Propeller Heads demo guy, Reason guy, he's really big into modular, and he's been using Looper, one of the Boss, is it 5-channel loopers? So that plus modular to create textures sounds like a really interesting way. So I might think about that as a possibility.
Well, I mean, that's the RC505, I think, isn't it? That's the desktop looper, which in its version 1 iteration was quite promising. I had one here for a while, but it wasn't a keeper for various reasons. But now it's moved up to version 2. I think it's really worth looking at, and the way that you can do, because you could do program change with that, you see. So you could have some pre-prepared stuff on various programs and have blank tracks available as well. So you could program change, shift up into and have some elements already in there, and then overdub. So I think it's
okay.
Yeah, And it's MIDI. They use a thing called assigns, which are MIDI assignable parameters and whatnot. They vastly expanded that with the version 2 as well, and actually it's come down reasonably. It's about around a £350 mark now, which is about 100 quid cheaper than when it first came out. So I think that is actually.
Does it do delays as well?
Yeah, it's got some, and the version 2 opens up the effects a lot more. You could only have, I think, before you could only have either input effects or playback effects. Now it allows you to do, I think, 3 simultaneous input effects there as well, and plus effects that you can apply onto your recordings as well. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've been eyeing that one up. The thing that stops me is that I bought my iPad Pro primarily to run that, to do that functionality, but it's not as much fun.
No, I suppose not. All right then. Well, I suppose with all of this stuff, you might be doing a gig. But did you see this news that Apple have just done a had a patent approved, which is, I've called it a no record deathray, and it's basically this was on 9 to 5 Mac and a couple of other sites. But basically, what it seems to be doing is you could put a transmitter of some kind in a venue, which will stop iPhones, specific, I guess, iOS devices of a certain iOS type from either taking photos or recording, depending on how you set it up. So, it will do other things as well, but that could be one primary thing. And it just seemed to me as a sort of it's quite a dangerous thing to start doing that, mass configuration of people's devices wherever they are. I know what you think about that. Because I think the thing about gigs is, yes, some things you want to keep private and you don't want to be watching it through somebody else's screen. But it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because so many people moan about the fact that everybody's just standing there watching it through the phone. Whereas, it'd be nice to have the choice, right?
It is puzzling, especially given that the latest Apple phones,
the cameras are so good.
The cameras are good, but also the audio is a lot better now. I don't know quite what's happening, but they are much better at handling high SPL. So my wife's phone, she was videoing the gigs I was doing at Glastonbury just on her iPhone, and the sound was, albeit far from brilliant, was
it wasn't doing that massive bass crunching. Just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So it seems that they've made some, I guess that they must have made some provision for that kind of environment. So for them to do this now is...
Well, it's only a patent. It's not been implemented. And the thing is, there are a couple of things with this. Obviously, if apparently this patent uses infrared, which is, you just stick something over your infrared receiver and that would sort that out. But that's one thing. But the other thing is also, obviously, in the wrong hands, it could stop people filming things that should be being filmed.
You're damn right.
Demonstrations, whatever, happenings in the world. I'm sure that's not the intent, but it could easily be misused.
Ding, 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 alarm. I didn't think about that, of course. I was thinking only purely from selfish music reasons. But yes, my goodness, phones have just become this real thing of revolution, haven't they? Or certainly... what did I say? The revolution won't be televised; it'll be streamed.
Yeah.
So, gosh, that does. I wonder if there are.
Well,
that's put the fear in me now.
Political points aside, I can understand, why, because obviously concerts are, for many bands and many bands with big brand names, are the way that they make revenue, because they don't make it on selling records, not unless you're really massive. Most of the money's made on tours. So I suppose, I can't imagine a video of a band on tour is going to replace, I won't go, I watched it on somebody's iPhone upload. It's more likely to actually say, yeah, I saw somebody's iPhone recording of that, they look rubbish, I won't go and see them. So it's more about masking the truth than perhaps spreading the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, and we all know that a lot of people are dismayed when really poor quality video and audio footage of concerts get put up. But blimey.
Yeah. And then they distribute an MP3. Go figure, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, and the likelihood is if Apple implement this, well, saying that it's a patent, does that give their rivals a kind of opportunity to not implement it.
I don't know. I mean, I think because sometimes a lot of these big technologies companies, they get the patent and then they just shove it away so nobody else can do it. So there might be some, it might be for good. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, who knows? I mean, patents have become a currency, haven't they? It's an awfully complicated scenario, but yeah. Let's not get too conspiracy theory about it. But yeah, anyway, that was I just spotted that the other day. And I thought, that's an interesting one. I mean, it opens a lot of things. Let's have a look at this then. I thought this was a bit genius, actually. This is called, what's the app called? FingerFiddle, which is a bit unfortunate because it could be seen as perhaps something it's not. This is a fiddle as in the violin.
Fiddle about.
Yes. There's an element of that to it. And as you can see, one hand is used for the bowing, the other hand is used for the fingering of the strings. And I just thought, what a really clever idea. And it does sound very expressive, right? This is FingerFiddle by a chap called Makenoise. I've got the app page here. It's $2.99, 1.2. This isn't a new thing, but it's the first time I've seen it. And it just I don't know if it corrects your pitch as well and snaps, because if you've ever had a child who's learning the violin, it's one of the most excruciating experiences of one's life. You can get in-app purchases for different instruments, classic collection, whatever. They add up. So, you could buy a Strad or whatever it may be, a double bass, violin, viola, cello, perhaps, that sort of thing. But really clever use of the interface, I thought, and because it's often, with iOS apps and touch devices, you sort of think, has it gone as far as it can with the implementation of GUIs and but this does seem like a really neat little, just a great idea, right?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, a few years back when GarageBand brought out its various violins and violas and cellos and whatnot. That was pretty nifty, but this just goes that much more ahead. And I'm allowed to say what I'm reviewing?
Yeah, sure.
So this is what I've got here.
The instrument.
And that's what this sort of made me kind of think of in a way. Obviously, the bowing side is different, but the instrument really excels in that kind of thing, being able to get all that lovely vibrato on every finger. But that bowing side, though, on the screen, yes, it is a very nice idea, but it is also... it's purely for playing, isn't it? It has no visual appeal. I found this from doing gigs playing on the iPad.
People aren't going to think, wow, you look cool.
But it is really cool. What's the price on it, Nick? I can't remember.
$2.99 US. I mean, it's next to nothing, really.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's... and it does sound good, doesn't it? I mean, I think that is very...
I'm guessing the person playing that demo is probably quite a good violinist, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, it does light the notes, doesn't it, to give you scale clues, so you can gliss to notes which are harmonically related to the scale that you're in, and things like that. Which actually, the instrument is less about that, which I was a bit surprised about, but you'll have to wait for the review to see that stuff. But I think in my... Well, I mean, gosh, how many reviews of iPad stuff have we done over the years? Hundreds.
Yeah, quite a lot.
But I did find that the only... Well, not the only, but the iPad, the touch surface's best implementation is for things like that, where it's glissy, where it's, express sliding notes, as opposed to other things more like piano type or anything that involves hitting it.
Yeah.
So it does lend itself very much to the screen, and you don't need the tactile response really for that kind of approach. In fact, being able to make those smooth glides, having a perfectly flat surface like a sheet of glass is ideal, really, for that. It's almost the perfect implementation for that legato, vibrato approach to playing. So yeah, I mean, God,
it's just very hard. You'd have to watch it like a hawk to know where you're thinking, because on a violin, obviously you get muscle memory because you can feel where you are on a string. You've got no sense of that in something like this.
In violin, you learn first position, second position, and just the physicality of the instrument does give you kind of clues about where you are. However, God, these kind of things I do have mixed feelings about, and this does pertain to the Linstrument in a way, in that the Linstrument I can see being very popular with people who want to do recreations of actual instruments, and it is terrific at that sort of thing, so I'd imagine lots of people who are making scores and whatever and want to mimic real instruments. It's great. I have zero interest in that personally. I'm much more interested in synthesizer expressivity with.
Yeah, well, we've seen like the I can't remember the name of the thing, the Expressive E box, and obviously the Roly, but the Touche is more CV compatible, whereas Roly requires quite a lot of additional kind of connectivity and messing about to get that to happen.
Is the Touche, do we know where that is in its development cycle?
No. When I saw them at Superbooth, which was that was March, they said later this year. They're not in any hurry, it appears. So, I don't know. There's something about... I've seen this happen before. I don't know if it's a French thing, whether there's a lot of government support for technological innovation, so they're able to do it at their own scale, level of time scale, rather than, letting the market decide. So I hope so. I mean, I'm sure it will. They seem like a fairly focused bunch of guys. So, but we shall see.
Yeah, but I mean, but coming back to this app though, for $299, it'd be ridiculous not to buy it if you use your iPad in any musical context. I haven't bought it yet because I only saw the show notes today, but I will be buying it today for sure, just to have it, because I think I could imagine when I need. But I just want to give musicians a gig, That's why I know not everybody has the ability to do that. I'm lucky. I've actually got a lot of great, instrument players around who I can draw upon. But yeah, it still looks really, really good though. Yeah.
Well, before actually, I'm going to throw this one in the mix afterward. There was an Elektron teaser that came out a couple of days ago, which I'll play that in a sec. We'll get your thoughts on it. But first, let's go to a word from our sponsors. That's iZotope. This is information about the Vocal Synth, their new plugin, which combines several vocal processing engines. This is the X iZotope Very Polyvox, which does harmonies, generating auto harmonies, fifth, sub up, classic vocoder, all in one plugin. And there's a robot voice as well, or CompuVox rather, I should say, which is more your kind of, I guess, craftworky thing. Talkbox, we all know that sound if you're a fan of Peter Frampton. But basically, all of these things together in one plugin is what makes this a specifically much more of an interesting proposition. So you could do a lot of vocal processing. If you want to check that out, go to iZotope.com/vocal synth. And of course, we have competitions. Last week, we asked you to tweet out the hashtag. This is a Twitter competition, so you do need to have a Twitter account to enter, but it's pretty painless and you don't have to monitor it and get notifications. But, you need a notification to know if you've won, I suppose. Last week, we asked you to tweet the hashtag Art of the Voice and Vocal Synth to @SonicState and iZotope Inc. And we have a winner. The winner is somebody called Riffs and Synths, called Chris of Gravy Age, @Chris of Gravy Age with a K. And he said, I could use this for so much. So, yes, you can. So you should be able to get that. So get in touch. Twitter handle @Chris of Gravy Age. And we will pass your details on to iZotope, who will deposit the full version into your account. So congratulations on that. We've also got another competition for this week. You can win a full version of the iZotope Vocal Synth. We're looking for the hashtag Computer Harmony. and the hashtag Vocal Synth, with @SonicState and @iZotope Inc. mentioned. So the hashtag Computer Harmony, all one word, and the hashtag Vocal Synth, all one word, to @SonicState and @iZotope Inc. If you tweet those out, then you will be automatically entered for the draw. I want to say thank you very much to iZotope for their sponsorship of the show once again. Let me see if I can find this this Elektron thing. Yeah, here it comes. I think it's here. Have I got any audio? Yeah, here we go. Very abstract. So what do you think? Let's listen to it. It's very short. Okay, so it just says before long, and I did actually email Cenk, who is my inside person and he said, yes, there's some new stuff coming along. I can't say any more. That's it. Oops, hold on.
Of the curiosity.
Looks like we've got another video flowing on. I don't know, what do you think? That to me sounds like some kind of filter stroke distortion pedal.
Right. So I've been very interested in this, as I am an Elektron user. Reading on the forums and just trying to just have a little mooch around, seeing what's being said. People seem to be suggested it's some kind of effects processor. Some people are hopeful that it's some sort of mixer, like Elektron's answer to the Roland MX1 performance mixer.
Okay, like you're thinking.
Yeah, more things like that, yes please. I think we've been banging on about that kind of thing, so maybe that I think other people have also been saying that Elektron have hinted at releasing lower priced products, because as we know, Elektron products aren't exactly
premium.
They are expensive, and it's but the other thing that's being said is that it's in no way a replacement for the outgoing mono machine and machine drum, which have both been retired, long-running Elektron products. I think a lot of that ground is covered by the Analog 4 and the Rhythm, and the Octatrack as well, a little bit, with the machine drum sampling capabilities. It's also I think Elektron have hinted that it's something that will work with their existing stuff as well. So
processor, you think?
Poses, and it also poses questions about Overbridge. They've put a lot of time and effort into developing.
Oh, you think it'll be Overbridge compatible?
Yeah, well, maybe. And also this idea of some sort of aggregated device that you can plug all your existing Elektron machines into, that may somehow do like the MX1 thing. I mean, that might be a bit fingers crossed for people, how cool that would be, something that you can just connect all your other devices via just a single USB lead, like we've seen with the IRA range and the Roland MX1.
I've got an MX1 here that I haven't got out of the box yet. I wanted to check it out. Just haven't had time. Yeah, I will do.
I mean, that still is such a super product. A few things don't quite hit the mark for me, but it's exactly the sort of thing I like seeing coming out. So if Elektron have gone down that route... Now, you see, what are the clues in that video? There's guitar, isn't there? And the sounds that we're hearing are certainly not...
They sound driven and distorted and filtered, don't they?
They do, but they also don't necessarily sound synthesizer-y. It sounds more like...
Processed, yeah.
So I reckon that... I think it's a good bet to think that it is in some way some sort of audio processor. Elektron being Elektron, it's not going to be normal. It's going to definitely be a different... there'll definitely be something unique about it. They don't release ordinary products by a long way. So, very excited about this. And
I've just spotted another line in the video, in the reply I got from Elektron. It said, when I look at the comments, I saw a few people actually got it right. Okay. Well, but
okay.
there's a lot of comments.
Now let's hope they don't tease us for too long, though. I think we've learnt in the past that if a tease,
somebody also said, "Is it a new electric violin?" So yeah, maybe it's that.
But I think Elektron have definitely carved a niche for themselves in a very specific way. So I wouldn't imagine that they would go too far away from what they've already created. I don't imagine them doing anything that's too radical a departure. I think they make deep boxes for committed people. That's so I'd imagine it's going to have something along that lines, because it's a funny thing. I've got the Analog 4 here, and oh no, I can't. It won't reach. But the Analog 4 it's an odd product in terms of you do have to really dig in deep with it. I mean, saying that, as I've mentioned before on the show,
it's very powerful. It's got a vibe, hasn't it? Definitely.
It has, and Overbridge opens it out terrifically, just for educating yourself about what it can actually do, seeing it all laid out. And it's a beautiful piece of software, Overbridge. I know some people have been having a few problems running it. I've had a few issues with it in Cubase. It seems to be a lot happier in Ableton Live, because I think initially it was only available in Ableton Live, so maybe it's a little bit more mature for working there. But I do, just to recap on what I said earlier, I think with all the effort that they've put into Overbridge, I'd be very surprised if this new product doesn't have some kind of Overbridge connectivity.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know when it's going to be. I mean, that's the thing with many of I don't know how Elektron have failed. I'm thinking back to the past. I think they've been pretty good when it comes to, they haven't gone, here's something, and then, then we haven't had it. They have said, here's Overbridge, and it hasn't been finished, but at least you had something to see. Whereas, so I guess with hardware, it might be a different thing, but we'll see.
The one thing I wanted to say, though, is that the budget's gone down a little bit for the videos compared to their previous lavish Hollywood. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone left there who hasn't seen any of those trailers for those.
The Analog 4, no, they are quite.
Oh, yeah, and the Octabridge one. The Octatrack. Some of the most lavish, most expensive, ridiculous, and brilliant trailers for music equipment ever made, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no one to touch them in that respect. So,
well, Native Instruments come pretty close, I have to say, but I mean,
not with that ridiculous kind of sci-fi sort of whole.
Okay. Right. Well, let's see. What should we do next? We've got a number of choices. I think that I might go for. Do you want to talk about Korg Gadget, or is it kind of? Have you had a chance to download the upgrade, because that's come up pretty recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, I have downloaded it, although I haven't bought the new. So there's 3 new gadgets, and
okay. Well, before we do, let's play the video.
Okay.
This is the news. There's 2 new instruments. This is 3, sorry, I do beg your pardon. This is the Bandai Namco 80s game synth engine. This is an awesome demo.
Yeah.
So of its time. I wonder if this is an original or somebody's made a new one, because they've done a fabulous job. I can't see how I'd ever use this anywhere, but I just think it's great. Oh, yeah. Takes you back.
Yeah.
Oh, you can play games as well. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's the Madrid bass. That's a Gladstone, acoustic drum module. I'm not so sure about the kind of jazz funk kind of direction these demos are going in, to be honest.
Well, jazz funk is the thing the kids are down with now, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think Weather Report will make a comeback?
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, big time.
Anyway, and then there's the Madrid bass. So, yeah. So, Gaz.
Sorry,
Gadget was great, actually. I really enjoyed Gadget. And there's also the I don't know if you've seen these, this is the Nano Studio and Nano Keys, which are Bluetooth MIDI, which are designed to. I mean, I think that and Gadget. I mean, it's getting to be when we reviewed it, it was a really impressive thing. So, and I'm sure it's only got better, right?
Oh, it's definitely got better and better. It really is. We still haven't had the long-awaited audio track functionality, which would just be the icing on the cake. Would just tip it over the edge of just being utterly brilliant in it. But Korg certainly haven't let it lie. They've kept coming back to it with the updates and have kept it really bang up to date. I mean, they brought out a terrific iPad Pro sort of, optimized version of it, which is a joy to use on the big fella there. But these new, so there's the three new ones. Then is this Namco Bandai Wavetable 80s engine, which, as you mentioned, that piece of music is amazing, and it did make me think about the ingenuity of those. It's a genre of music unto itself, isn't it? And that's a terrific example of it. I completely agree. And it looks fascinating. I haven't bought that one yet, but I do intend to. I think each of them, though, now are, I think, all the in-app purchases, I think, are $7.99. So that's cheap in some respects. In iPad terms, it's a little bit more pricey, but I think the quality is terrific. Should also mention, though, that their other app that they've been keeping up to date is the Korg Module, which that also received on the same day an update, which introduced two new modules, one of which is like an 80s piano, so it's like a DX70, I guess, other 80s electric piano sounds, but also a mellotron as well, which, and I don't know if it's how long that'll be, but the mellotron expansion is currently free. So if you are a module owner, make sure that you'll need to go into module and go in to the store, and you have to actually sort of click to buy it, but it's free.
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing about this is, both of these are starting to get to the point where it's like your kind of workstation / sound module in one go. So you could be free of the computer, you could do all of your, it's an interesting paradigm, and they're only really Korg are doing it to such with such commitment, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. And to come back to Gadget, I mean, the interface on Gadget is amazing. They've made so many improvements since it came out. Subtle, small improvements, but things that just increased the workflow with it. The piano roll and the way that you interface with it is just very fluid and is probably the class leader. The amount of automation and how easily implemented the automation is just sensational in Gadget. It really is a kind of this is how to do it right. So I think that Korg have obviously put some of their top people onto this and have kind of... And
have you got a house full of children, Gaz?
Sorry, I'll close the window. It's
I was just thinking, where's that coming from? Because you're on the top floor. That's all right.
Yes, I'll shut them out.
Pesky kids.
Pesky kids. But... Those Bluetooth controllers that we're looking at, so there's two of those, one of which is like keys and pads, and another one is faders and knobs and like an XY pad. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, actually, that top one there, look at that there. That's now, with the latest update, is fully gadgetized, so everything is mapped and ready to go. Wireless, and you just kind of think, cool, that is a very, very... efficient, nice little combo. Because what I do find with Gadget is that the keys, you want to play it with, you really do want to play it with an external keyboard because, albeit you can with, see if I got it here, there is something that some people don't know. I'm not sure if it was in it from the beginning, but the modules themselves can be boosted to go full screen.
Right.
And of course, another thing as well, Gadget has got Ableton Link. So that idea of just doodling with your iPad and then it being connected to your studio system, is a reality. But yeah, so when you're looking at the module, if you double tap on the module itself, the module expands to the entirety of the screen. So it's only a small jump, but it just makes that big difference, especially for so you can.
Yeah, I see.
So many.
It only came out last week, so worth checking out if you're looking. I mean, it does seem like a very. If you've already got an iPad and not much else, then I just want to throw this up. Rant's put this up in the chat room. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Get off. This is that NASA, the Juno spacecraft, is beginning orbit of Jupiter, and this is a Roland calendar image of obviously of the space event happening there. Just thought I'd throw that in there. No other reason than I can. All right then. Well, let's get on to another one. Oh yeah, this one. This is quite interesting. Molecularbytes. This is the new Atomictransient, which is, to me, it seems a bit like the kind of crazy world of when Melodyne DNA came out and you could do polyphonic pitch. This is basically the same, but for transient and processing. I'll see if I can find the requisite parts of the video because it's quite long. Let's see if I move it forward. Very quiet. So you can remove frequency elements, you can process them. Can't really hear the hi-hats in this one, they're too toppy. Oh, this is actually going to be a really dreadful demo, I can see now, because I can't find the bit of the video. So you can process individual things and individual transients and filtering by frequency, and it's a really quite an interesting concept. I love the display on this. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could use this to parallel process to bring out snares and reduce things. And it looks like a really kind of quite a cool product, particularly for whole mixes. I know. What did you think of it, Gaz?
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, I have been using the multi-band transient shaper within Cubase quite a bit. And that's what it was making me think of, albeit a much more sophisticated version of that. But I guess it's one of these things. Its applications I mean, straight away it makes me think of for the mashup community, it's just going to increase.
Yeah, I mean, that basically, I didn't find the spots in the demo specifically well, but you could basically get the snare out. It seems to be that powerful. It can remove drum hits from entire mixes. It can do all sorts of stuff like that, right?
Right, yeah. And it is this idea that if you can hear it, then if our brains can perceive it, then it's only a matter of time until they come up with an algorithm that can do the same. And certainly the Melodyne, Melodyne were first there with the polyphonic material. What it interests me, I suppose, about this is how you could kind of use it in. It's such a new technology. We don't exactly know what we could use it for. I mean, yes, you could imagine you want to sort of make the drums a bit punchier, but right now, I could sort of achieve that with the multiband transient edit. Already. This just looks like
right.
In Cubase. And if anyone hasn't played with transient shapers, especially multiband transient shape, they're probably one of the most powerful mix tools that there are. If you slap one across a drum bus, then it just, for years I always struggled to get the kind of punch, and then once I started using that, there it is. It's so being able to play and manipulate the transients within a recording is fantastic. And this just looks like it's the deepest implementation of that kind of technology yet. I just wonder what people are going to do with it. I also am a little bit like, oh God, I don't know if I've got any more time or brain cycles to allocate to something like that. But at the same time, amazing. It's brilliant to see these things. I love seeing the innovation. So, and I know there'll be someone who will just use it in the most ridiculous way and do things that previously impossible.
Just for the record, we did review, there's a UAD one, it's a Sonox, I've forgotten what it's called, but if you check back, there's a review by Tosh who did a transient shaper. It's frequency dependent, there are a pair of them, it's not quite multi-band, but it's 2-band, and that's pretty good, well worth checking out. And transient shapers generally, like you say, they do have they can make things sound just... It gives everything, because there used to be this sort of classic sound of drums that you could only get if you mixed on SSLs. It's the speed and the smack of the compressors, and it's almost that they were working on a transient level. And then SPL did a whole bunch, didn't they? And they were the processors that people used in hardware, and they're now available. So these things, this feels like an area that is becoming more and more, explored, and this is the latest one. Molecularbytes.com. It's available, I think it's available for all the VST, VST3, VST2, VST3 and audio units, and I think it's available now at I think it's €129, which seems fairly reasonable, and I think there's a standalone application for Windows only, not for Mac, so well worth checking out. And I think you can get a free trial as well, which is obviously worth looking at. Okay, what should we do next? What do you think about this then? I think I've got it here. Yes, here we go. This is the 10-hour Reason 9. So this guy strapped this whole thing to his body, drove 10 hours into the desert while auditioning all 1,000 sounds during the journey, and there's this great shot at the end where he gets to the edge and he's playing the last few patches while looking out over what looks like the Grand Canyon. He's going to play, I think. And there are some great sounds. I mean, I haven't had time to listen to all 10 hours, but he spends, and I was thinking, how on earth can that take so long? And then I worked out it's only 36 seconds of sound. This is all part of Reason 9, which came out last week, just shipped, didn't it? With 1,000 new sounds. You've got pitch edit, which is kind of like Melodyne style editing of notes, scales and chords, note echo, dual arpeggiator delays, bounce in place, new skins and looks. You can buy it. You upgrade, I think, for €129 and buy it for $369, which, if Reason is your thing, we have actually talked about Reason before, but none of us actually use it, so it's very hard for us to be very objective about it. I mean, part of the reason for that is because, if you excuse the pun, is the fact that Reason is, or has been, taken its own path. It's less about compatibility with other DAWs and what have you. Even though it's perfectly adequate and it's a great compositional environment, it's just something that's not generally used so much in a pro environment in terms of if you're collaborating with people. That's the only reason, really, I guess.
Well, they have increased their own collaborative internally. So yes, they like to do everything within their own sort of world. Their version of VST.
It's a Swedish thing.
Yeah, they do their rack extensions rather than making VSTs compatible and various things like that. But I think it's brilliant. I'm so glad they're doing it, and I'm so glad they're still around, because I think it's. I do think it's great. I do enjoy it. I use it now and again. I think they've managed. I mean, gosh, it's old now, Reason, isn't it? I mean, it's managed to survive through very turbulent times. So it's doing something right. And I've got friends who swear by it. It's their place, and actually what you find with Reason fans is that they are absolutely passionate about it.
Well, you do find that with DAW users only. Let's have a look. Reason 1.0 was released in December 2000.
2000.
There we go. So for 16 years, that's a pretty impressive pedigree. And I think it was everything, wasn't it? Because I mean, at the time, it was before live, and it was the way that you could create pattern based. I mean, it was groundbreaking. And I think part of the reason that it's perhaps been its own thing is because it hasn't embraced the kind of VST AU plugin kind of world, which is where everybody else, which in many ways could be seen as a good thing, because it means it'll just work and won't have any compatibility issues, and you just get you've got a fixed palette, even though that's now a massive palette of sound. So maybe that's it. But good on them.
Yeah, and that video is just bonkers. I mean, I've dipped in and skipped around it, and
he's a good player, isn't he? He finds good riffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just such a fun undertaking. I think it showcases the fact that there is tons of good quality new sounds as well in such a fun way. And yeah, I mean, there's so many sounds in there, but God, again, but presets. I've got so many presets now. If I was to add up all of the presets I've got of all the things I got, I don't use them. And
I think that's the thing. It's interesting the way that things have changed somewhat as hardware has become. Obviously with the rise of the hardware synth, there's been this kind of desire to get your hands on things. Certainly among, I don't know whether this is a generational thing. But, the fact that you can actually now get your hands on so many synths and create your own sounds when you're just flipping presets, I mean, obviously you can edit them. There's a disconnect. And so you do tend to become slightly kind of disconnected from the musical process of it. And And I think that for me, I mean, that's not the same for everybody, obviously.
No, it is for me as well. I mean, something I've said numerous times, though, is with these big things, these big epic pieces of software that are really deep, you can never know it. You can never master that. You can never truly feel that you've got it. It just feels like you're just this little spectator on the side, and that you can't really like the Strike Fet, the Waldorf Strike Fet, which is about the price of a plugin, maybe a bit of an expensive plugin, but you can master that thing. You can learn its entirety. And then, you don't need to use presets on it. You can just dial in a sound. And you sort of know, you know it's out of parameter, you know its limits. So you can work within it. And that is much more inspiring for me. However, I do also understand that a lot of people don't work that way, and to have big palettes of presets is important. So
it's interesting. Well, talking about that, I mean, because I've recently been doing some sessions where I've gone back to the people I'm working with are using Logic 9, which is what I kind of learned. I learned that, but I haven't used that for years and years. And I went back to it, and I just sort of was and it took me sort of half a day to get my head back into it. But now I feel almost as fluent as I was. Remembering the key commands, and and now I can work within it in a compositional environment, and it's really interesting the way that those things that you maybe learn, in software, they stay with you. And I suppose the thing is everything has its own methodology, and you're right, learning that kind of depth of fluidity is quite difficult. Across multiple DAWs. So I guess that's why people tend to sort of stick with one and go, I know this, I know I can make it do what I need it to do, and I've got my key commands that will do, and it's like you with Cubase, you're very much invested in that because it's your primary tool of work for getting paid, work.
Yeah, for paid work, Cubase, although, Cubase can be a annoying, well, that's another story. But no, yes, for my paid work, I tend to use Cubase because it's, I don't know, familiarity, yes. I mean, I've got this in front of me. I don't know if I can show you this.
You can get where you need to go quickly. I mean, that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've got the Cubase. I've got these, these...
Those little controllers, yeah.
Yeah, which are Cubase specific. Sorry about this.
But I agree. I mean, I think the thing that I noticed going back to Logic 9, even though we're at 10, Logic X, the problem is all of the things that I found irritating and that haven't gone any further, you're just kind of going, oh, yeah, you can't do that, can you? Oh, yeah, of course. Things like project management and things. I mean, it's got more or less enough to make it all work, and there's always a workaround, so I suppose that's it. I mean, how many new features do you need? I can write automation in it, I can do the things that I need to do, I can so I suppose maybe that's fine.
Ableton Live is quite an interesting piece of software in that it hasn't deviated very far from its initial premise. It's almost the same in many respects. They have added lots of things over the years, but it still is the same very slick and minimal interface. there's not masses of stuff within it. You don't have loads of menus and all sorts. It's still so I think that is probably a big reason why it still is so incredibly popular, because people just very comfortable in that environment. Something like Cubase or Logic, they are just behemoths, aren't they?
I'll tell you what I did. I'll tell you one thing I did find. There's the ES1 synth, which is a very simple, one of the early soft synths, little subtractive synthesis, 2 waveforms. I think it's just sawtooth and square. The sawtooth sounds bloody great. It really just slices through a mix, and it's got loads of bottom end, and it really is. I mean, I was quite amazed, actually. I was thinking, God, that sounds really good, and it's an early synth. I mean, it's not like they did some good work, and I guess the core of it is obviously still functioning, pretty much as it can be, and it's making records. At least that's what these people are doing with it.
That is an interesting point, isn't it? Because there is a tendency to think, oh, that's from a few years ago, so it must be rubbish. Coming back to Elektron, I mean, the Octatrack sampler that they make is, by current standards, a little bit old-fashioned. It's kind of uses compact flash cards for a start, which I don't think anything else is using. But it's still incredibly functional, and people can make amazing music on it. So we do have to sort of watch out sometimes for this continuing, this idea that we keep on moving, and that things in the past are somehow junk compared to today, or not. Well,
not as good somehow. Yes,
recent past. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's reason 9. I covered in as much depth as we can. So, what about this then? This is they're remaking Bladerunner. Bladerunner 2, or not remaking. There's a version 2 of Bladerunner, and FactMag have done because obviously the soundtrack of Bladerunner, the original 1982, Vangelis, one of my favourite soundtracks, one of the most influential soundtracks perhaps. And there's an article on FactMag which is basically them talking about who is going to be able to do the soundtrack, and they've got a few ideas of who they might be, and some of these people I haven't heard of, and they were great. And obviously Bladerunner, I don't know if Bladerunner was a big thing for you. I mean, it was a very big cinematic event, and the sonic world that they created was so stylized that it really was quite, so it's quite quite a lot of responsibility to get right, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is they could probably use the original soundtrack and it'd still sound futuristic and still sound perfectly, apt and, with all the latest fancy CGI. But
I should just quickly say it's not a remake. It's set several decades in the future, so it's an ongoing story. Which that's kind of in that. I think that's quite an interesting proposition. I wouldn't want to see it remade. I'm much more interested in it being. I think Ryan Gosling and somebody called Anna de Armas are playing in it. I was wondering who would be good, and I was thinking maybe Ulrich Schnaus. I really like his stuff. Obviously, there are some people that would, and there was Ryuichi Sakamoto, Alvin Otto, and Bryce Dessner who did The Revenant, which had a beautiful sense of atmosphere about it. I mean, admittedly, it was quite a static kind of soundtrack. I wondered about that. And Cliff Martinez is somebody that they suggest, who I was not aware of, and his stuff was brilliant. I'm not going to play any of this because they're all uploaded by record labels, which means that you get content ID strikes if I'm going to put it in this YouTube video, and I don't want to do that. But Cliff Martinez, I thought he was a very good. He did a Sublime score for Steven Soderbergh's Solaris remake, which I was listening to that and it sounded lovely. So I wonder about that. I wonder about you guys. If you could think of anybody that you would, if they were asking you, if the executives
me. Come on, I'll do it. God, blimey.
Do you think they have to have a nod to some of the sounds though? Because that the Tyrell, the kind of the CS80 brass line. Oh, it's not really brass. It is so iconic. I wonder if they'll be encouraged to include some of that stuff in it. The person who's going to do this the new soundtrack.
That's a kind of that could be a
double-edged
I'm not
sword,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think really they should try and find something that is totally different, something completely new if they can. Gosh, it's interesting, isn't it? Because 30. God, it's getting on for 35 years.
Yeah, to 1982. So yes, God.
And it still looks great, doesn't it? The special effects as well. Wow. So that film, because I don't think it was a particularly successful film, was it, in terms of box office?
I don't know. I suppose I just assume it was because it felt like such a kind of iconic movie.
I think it
must have cost a lot to make mine.
Yeah, I think it was a big film, but it was. God, I hope that they maintain that integrity, that it's not just a whiz bang action fest, God. But who could do it?
I sort of hope they don't go for Zimmer and the usual suspects. I hope it's somebody a bit more kind of off-piste.
Yeah, mind you, Zimmer, when you think when you think you've got his number, he'll do something like the soundtrack to Interstellar or something like that and just go, ooh, there's a lot more to come from him. But it would be good if it was some youngish artist who, like someone like Ulrich, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Because he's got that lovely, because I think he was a classically trained pianist, wasn't he? Or certainly he's a very good. Well, he's a very good pianist, and he writes on the piano. So. And then he transfers that across to his kind of...
The Eyebrows of Truth in the chat room says, in the YouTube chat room says, Boards of Canada might be an interesting one. Yeah.
John Hopkins, that's another good choice, actually. Yeah, that's a good choice. Boards of Canada. Wow. That might be a bit too organic, though. I think it might... Unless in that Blade Runner future, maybe things have become a little bit more decrepit. Boards of Canada has got like a old decrepitness about their sound, doesn't it? So it's not like a shiny new thing. Yeah, wow. But
just want to also point out, Joel Curtis in the chat room says the budget was 28 million and the box office was 33.8. So not a fabulous return in terms of films.
They've got to make 4 times the budget, I think, for it to be a success.
Yeah, but I'm sure it has now. Over the years, it must have done.
Yeah.
Just the soundtrack.
But we do tend to think it was this big, blockbuster that I don't think it was. So it's, and that's what I'm hoping with the new one, that it maintains that the integrity of the first one. And I do think that the music
has to be, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm quite excited about this one.
Yeah, well, it's not coming out till 2018, so there's still plenty of time for them to blow it. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Bass X in the chat rooms. Yeah, I'll do it. Well, I don't know if I take that sort of pressure. That was just that would be a lot of pressure to come up with the right thing. And also, I guess if you're going electronic, you can't, you can come up with the themes, but then you've got to flesh it out as well. If you've got an orchestral aspect to it, you can kind of give it to 56 players and they'll make something good out of it, and you don't have to play every individual instrument, what have you. So maybe, yeah. But
what about if Vangelis did it, though? Now?
Well, I wonder. Well, Vangelis hasn't really been on fire the last probably 5 years or 10 years. Great though he was. I think maybe he's not so now. I don't know.
It would be an interesting one to see what he would come up with. Because, God. But it's difficult. We did touch on this last week, didn't we, about being, completely new ideas, new things, when so much has already existed, to try and imagine a music form of the future. It's really bizarre because we've had such great previous examples of futuristic music, but for over such a long period of time, it's real. You do wonder, about that the thing that we talked about earlier, the transient, multiband transient thing, whether those kind of tools or tools that just haven't existed before will be, the music that you can make using those kind of things.
That's an interesting point because, obviously at the time, the CS80 was only in the hands of very few people, and also he was a massive user of the Rev 1, the Yamaha Rev 1, which was a massive studio-grade reverb. And I remember there was when I was working at a studio in Bath, his engineer came. She used to work for him during that kind of period, maybe shortly afterwards. And she was called Raina Shine. And she just said 9 seconds on everything.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
That was just the Rev 1.
Yeah.
That was whatever it was. So, and those sort of tools, everybody gets access to those sort of algorithms now. So it's hard. He made them work in a way. There were probably only 20 people in the world who had that combination of things, or less. So those are some of the reasons of those. But he's also very melodically, a lot of melodical nous as well. I mean, rumours with Vangelis is he improvises a lot of his stuff, or did back in the day, would just improvise and then go back and kind of build around it. But what was it? Chariots of Fire. I can't say Chariots of Fire without thinking it would be a great name for a taxi company, Chariots of Hire. But apparently he improvised that in one go, and then went back and kind of added some strings and stuff. But that was it, great way to, if you get it right, obviously. So he's obviously got good instinct, at least then, for whatever the zeitgeist was.
Starblazer in the chat room was saying,
Trent
just
Reznor.
do a jazz funk fusion soundtrack. All the kids are into it these days. Just backing up the point. No, seriously, I think that actually could work.
I think bloody disastrous.
No. There's a new. I tell you, like Kamsai Washington, for instance. Have you heard about him?
No.
The sax player. There's the whole kind of Flying Lotus, Kendrick Lamar sort of West Coast thing has been, in the last few years, has really been bringing that jazz funk fusion, that kind of on the corner Miles Davis, early Weather Report, Mysterious Traveller, that kind of sound. But actually, watching Kamsai Washington in Glastonbury, the keyboard player was playing a Moog Liberation.
Oh, wow. God, that's heavy.
Yeah, but he was great with it as well. He was using all the kind of the mod things on the grip there, and man, a lot of people turned out for that gig. It was, and a lot of young people.
Reminds
too.
me when I first went to Glastonbury and I saw Weather Report playing.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Domino Theory,
Whoa.
I just want to say one more thing. Pierre Fontaine in the chat room says, imagine having to work against the expectation of the original soundtrack. That sounds like a no-win situation for whoever takes the job. That's very true, but I suppose it's so long ago that most of the people who are likely to be the audience for this, assuming it is a blockbuster, or at least probably won't have that frame of reference, so it might not apply. But but presumably the producers will be thinking about it. So maybe the people who say yay or nay are not necessarily the best people to decide which works best. I don't know. Tough gig.
I did have like a generational shift at Glastonbury experience watching Beck. Beck, super cool Beck. I went down the front, and Beck's an amazing performer. Little diddy little pocket bloke he is as well. But amazing performance. And all these kids stood around, just not clapping, not dancing, not grooving, not reacting to any of his classic hits. I wanted to decapitate a lot of them, I swear. This is Beck. And then it occurred to me, I thought, oh yeah, but like Odelay is 20 years ago. This is like their parents' music. And I was like, oh, because like Beck had always been like this super cool guy in my book, but actually we made it on the telly a few times, and we realised afterwards that was because we were the only people in the crowd who were kind of singing along. And
oh really? You were one of the BBC cutaways, were you?
They did a big close-up on the, well, I don't know if it was on the telly, but on the big screen they did a big close-up of my head. So I was yes, but because we were having fun, but it was just that it did make me think, cool, it's easy to forget that. Yeah, we're no longer relevant. that he's not necessarily relevant to them and their culture. And then someone else said, yeah, it was just the kids were coming down to watch Coldplay who were on next.
I would. That's interesting, because I would have imagined Coldplay would be a bit beyond, not very cool. I mean, I did watch the gig, and I mentioned it last week. I thought they were great, and that I don't know whether that's praise, whether that's a good thing, but they just emanated sort of love and good vibes, which I thought was probably quite a hard thing to do on that scale. And I thought it was great. Anyway, but Okay, well, I think that's probably it for this week. But yeah, stay tuned for we've got another year. We'll have reached episode 500 by the time that comes out, if not gone beyond it. So that'll be something to look forward to. Maybe we can have a simultaneous. It'll be a simulcast.
Oh, yeah,
Sonic Talk 500 and Blade Runner 2 or something like that.
Cool.
I just want to say I did post something about the Makenoise No Coast because I'm doing the review of that. I'll play out with that because it's got a little bit of a riff, and just also if you've got any questions about it, because it's a West Coast thing really, and I don't really know West Coast synthesis inside out. I wouldn't say any kind of synthesis inside out, but I'm less familiar with it. So if anybody's got any questions they want to throw into that,
I got a question.
Oh yeah.
How do you make it sound good?
How do you make it sound good?
Yeah, I'm not convinced.
Well, it definitely sounds different.
Yeah, I watched a whole bunch of that stuff. I was like, oh, I don't like this. So, yeah, I want to see you make something good on it.
It's harder. What's difficult about it is finding those sweet spots, because usually you can go, well, I know this kind of wave into a filter will do this kind of thing, and then I can peek out you don't have any of those frames of reference, so it's quite difficult to find those spots, but there are.
Okay. So I'm like this at the moment.
I don't think it's something that you're going to go, I must have one of those. I mean, it's definitely a kind of, if you're interested in getting into West Coast, it might be a way in, but
it's a bit, but it is bleepy bloopy, isn't it? It's bleepy bloopy stuff. It just seems to have no oomph to it.
Oh no, it's got loads of bottom end.
Okay.
But when you start adding the overtones and the harmonics, certainly as you go round the scale, that tends to be less emphasised. But you can, there is a bunch of it. And you can also patch, there's a raw square wave, which you can patch directly in, and that's massive and snappy and kind of blatty. That's quite good. But yeah, it's not as immediately obvious, perhaps.
Well, I tried to watch something on it, and it sent me to sleep with very strange dreams. And then, yes. So I shall eagerly await your review. Definitely interesting. But yeah, is it fun though? Is it fun so far?
Yes, I think it's fun. It's not as immediately musically obvious how you would use it, I would say. You're not kind of going, there's that bass sound. I mean, because West Coast is not really like that. It's got... It's good for very interesting, complex harmonics. I mean, in combination with large reverb washes or drones or whatever, I would say yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, because we did have that thing a couple of years back on Sonic Talk where we were like, "What a good musical example."
Show me a signature sound, or a West Coast
a signature song or something. Other than that's not the silver apples on the moon.
Yeah.
Anything other than that, it's just that's great. Don't get me wrong, I think that is dead cool. But,
well, no pressure. I'll try and do something. Anyway, we'll say goodbye for now. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Don't forget, please do subscribe to the video, to us on YouTube, because we've got lots of other videos coming up as well. It's not all modular. Do check out all of our Cymru Beats 2016. I think there's 2 more videos to go up. So, quite a bumper crop. There's some good stuff in there. That's it. Thank you, Gaz, so much for joining me today. Just our little duo there. I think we managed to not too much dead air.
There's never dead air with us two. We can riff on anything.
And best of luck tonight for Wales. I've actually got I've got a $5 on Wales to win the whole thing. So if they win, it's 300 quid.
Put that down. Before the group stages.
Yes.
During the group. Whoa!
I got 66 to 1.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
But my partner said, "Shall I do it?" And I said, "No, they'll never make it." And then, if I'd done it when she said, it would have been 200 to 1. So,
yo, wow! It's just that good fun. I mean, it's little old Wales. It's just nice to be good for something for a change.
Not just voting for Brexit, eh?
No, but good. Cymru Beats is here we go. We are on the international synthesizer scene now with Cymru Beats, aren't we?
Yes, I suppose so.
Yeah, because Cymru, if you don't know, is our word for Wales. Cymru is Welsh for Wales. So Cymru Beats. So it is. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to play out with if I can. Let me just check that I've got the right video. I may not actually have. I'm just, I don't, yeah. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. Whoa, stop. Right. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon, Gaz. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Hi there. I'm just working on a review of the Makenoise Zero Coast, which I've got here on the bench. I just wanted to ask if you had any questions or comments about the Makenoise Zero Coast, or No Coast, I think I call it. Before I finish the review, I'm just going to now play a patch that I set up with a description of how it was put together, and hopefully this will give you some ideas for any questions, and I will try and answer them in the full review. Anyway, thanks for watching. What I've got here is the BeatStep Pro. I'm running 2 channels. So the first one is blue, so CV and gate. It's coming out, so I've got gate going into the trigger for the contour and CV coming out into the volt per octave of the oscillator. So now if I play my sequence, just a simple line, this is just unaffected now, so I know we're listening to just the output of the wave shaper. So if I now, obviously I've got reverb and delay on it. What I've also got is the clock coming out of the BeatStep Pro driving the tempo, which is then in turn driving the sample and hold waveform here, which is in turn coming from into the attenuverter. I'm going negative and out and into the overtone parameter. So now I've got Now if I bring up the dynamics, I've also got the output here, which is a triangle wave LFO, which you can access via the pages, which I'll show you a bit later. And I've got that coming into the FM linear modulation. So I can add a little bit of modulation to the basic oscillator. What I've also got, if I swing this round, I've got the second CV out coming into the time of the slope. So what I'm effectively doing is modulating the time of the slope. It only works over about an octave, but I'm able to now I'm also re-triggering the envelope when I trigger any additional notes by using a little stackable cable here. But I've got some additional modulation going on. So what I can do here is I've also got the output of the slope coming into the multiply. Turn up the dynamics here. It gets pretty gnarly.